Alto Adige, a region that is considerably barely Italy. They don't consider themselves Italian. We don't really consider themselves Italian, but I really don't care. I mean, it's somehow slightly disturbing traveling around this area and feel that there is this conflict of who they belong to, who they want to belong to. They would like to be Austrians. I don't think Austrians would like to include Alto Adige in their land. I personally don't care about nations and borders. I think that borders and nations are in 19th, 20th century conflict. We have to go over it. But I don't want to get into politics now. It's more about terroir. It's more about that specific spot and that area. And when it comes to Alto Adige, it's so fascinating how they have this local, they call it Maso. Maso is the northern Italian version of Masseria, and Masseria is the southern Italian version of Maso. But Maso and Masseria are, it's not just a farm, it's a house, usually with a vineyard and some, you might like grow some vegetables, you might have some olive trees and things. And we've talked about south of Italy, of course. It's the idea of an ecosystem. Usually it comes, it's actually around a family, and the Maso is probably coming from Middle Age, even before. Some of these Maso are 800, 900 years old. Some of them has been transformed in an abbey, and they are actually driven by monks or priests, and so, but they are like little ecosystems that they've developed a beautiful concept of biodiversity. For people that knows me, they know how much I care about two wines that are completely, one of them, which is one is Schiava and the other one is Lambrusco. Lambrusco is surely one that is more known, but has been known especially for his bad, easy, cheap version. Especially if you are American, you remember a wine called the Riunite. But Lambrusco, in my opinion, is one of the most interesting sparkling wine in the world. And Schiava, I call it the Italian version of Pinot Noir. Schiava is a light, spicy wine that has no comparison in the world. It's really unique. It comes only from that area. Up to 20 years ago, 90% of the Schiava was only for local consumption. So 90% of that wine was actually staying mainly in that area. I was with my friend Dario Cappelloni, who is the guy that got in touch with the Schiava here. I think I was the first one in Salomeria that started to buy Schiava. And I remember there was a moment we had like 40, 50 different Schiava in our wine list. I don't think even in Alto Adige you find a wine list with 40, 50 different Schiava, because I love when a wine is actually on the border. It's on the border of between a red and a white, it's on the border between a light and a full body, so you can play with these wines, and especially with pairings. And I wouldn't say that this is a simple type of wine, because it would be insulting, especially for the winery Guerlain. And this is possibly the only exception we make in a wine club in terms of quantity. You probably know that 99% of the wine we sell come from winery that produce less than 40, 50,000 bottles. Most of them at the moment are between 2,000, 3,000. When I'm not necessarily obsessed about quantity in a wine production, but for sure when you have a small production, the level of control is higher, and somehow you have more capacity to interact with the winemaker. There is more reciprocal listening, and also you can develop your own project with them. And of course, quantity and quality usually they go in conflict. That's why industrial food and beverage is so bad and also not healthy, because more you increase the quantity and lower the price you have to keep. And Guerlain is one of the few wineries that, especially in Alto Adige, there are a few of them where they combine actually quantity with quality. And so it's the only little exception. And also I wanted to introduce Schiava in US, and especially I'm going to bring some of them in New York, because it's the type of wine that I don't find it anywhere. And so it's a market that I would like to develop, because it's a really, really, really unique type of grape variety and type of wine.